Hello, Cancer. Welcome to Dove and Serpent Tarot. My name is Paul. If Cancer is your sun, moon, or rising sign, this is your tarot card reading. Remember to hit the like button, leave a comment. Consider subscribing to the channel, especially if this reading resonates with you. It is totally free. Does not cost you anything. If there's anything you would like me to pray over, or meditate upon, or send positive energy toward, please let me know. Now, this is going to be a general reading, so try to be open and receptive to whatever may come through during our time together. I am merely the messenger, and I ask you to connect directly with each of these cards and use your own intuition to take you beyond the details that I might provide. And remember, Cancer, that the most important part of any tarot reading is you. And we've got a Four of Swords. This is truce. I feel like we have recently solved a problem. Yeah. I think we've recently come to some sort of conclusion about something that is very significant in your life. Okay. We need to put this card into some context. I want to see what this what this resolve is. I feel like there is there's some sort of agreement that's been reached, or some sort of a it could be a compromise, perhaps, but let's take a look at a few other cards here. We've got a Three of Pentacles. Okay, that's nice. That's maybe kind of everybody getting on the same page in terms of some group effort, in terms of maybe a decision being made in the context of a business or an investment of some kind. Could be an investment of energy, an investment of time. But let's keep going. Now we've got it. Wow, look at that. We've got 4, 3, 2. Are we going to get an ace over here? Maybe. Oh, we've got the art card. Well, that's, I think, maybe the art of conversation, right? The art of negotiation, the art of compromise, the art of listening, right? And the art of, I think, understanding your path forward. There's the Emperor energy. And there's an Eight of Swords. We don't want that, right? Let's keep going. We've got Princess of Cups. We've got an ace. There's our ace. Now we've got 4, 3, 2, and of course 1 with the ace. Oh, and another ace. Very cool. And the Star card. Yes. See, this is what we want. We don't want here. This is kind of the pathway that we're trying to avoid. Okay? We want to be able to go from 4, 3, 2, 1, and blast off into outer space with the Star card. We don't want to get stuck in an 8, right? That's going to be detrimental. This is kind of, we don't want to get back to the argument. I feel like we've reached an agreement, we've reached a decision, a conclusion, whether this is involving a group of people or not. I feel like you've reached it's like you've got a plan. You don't have everything figured out, okay? But for right now, we've got the Four of Swords. We're not debating about something, whether it's internally or with other people. We've reached a relatively solid decision. And now it's a matter of implementing it and acting on it and realizing it and using it to move forward to get that Ace of Pentacles. That's like the pot of gold here. This is that pot of gold. This is everything now working out the way you intend it to work out. It's you having this plan, right? And maybe this plan, it's not a far-reaching plan. This is a plan for right now. Okay, it's kind of a compromise, it's kind of an agreement, it's kind of saying everybody get on the same page because we've got a certain goal that we're trying to reach. Right? You're on this expedition for this pot of gold, and everybody's fighting, right? There's confusion, there's chaos, there's sorrow, there's lament. It's everybody gathering together and saying, look, we've got one mission, let's go do it, let's fulfill it, right? And that's the Ace of Pentacles that we see. That's the pot of gold. That's the treasure that you're arriving at. And only if you can maintain the kind of relative peace that we have now. Okay, it's like it kind of feels like we haven't figured out everything. We're not done with our conversation, but for right now we're putting it on hold. Okay, so this is that kind of a a resolution, and it could maybe just be something you're doing by yourself, but I have this sense that you're a leader of something, that you're at the front of some push, some business, some endeavor. Maybe it's an expedition to find a pot of gold, right? Let's select the mystery card, bonus card, confirmation card. This is a random card from the Smith-Waite Tarot. This is the factor infinite and unknown, and what we're going to do is, set it down right over there. We're going to put Tiny Bob Ross right on top. We're not going to look at that card until the very end. Even though it tried to flip itself over, we're not going to let it. But it will tie everything together. It will give us our confirmation at the end of the reading. If at any point during this reading you feel like you know what that card is, I want you to put your prediction down in the comments, okay? Let's do it together. Let's make it a group exercise. I think it will be good for us. Let's take a look around the room. We do have some major arcana. We have 1, 2, 3. I think with the Emperor here, the Emperor needs a little bit of temperance. Okay? The Emperor, the biggest lesson for the Emperor to learn is to not be such a hard leader, right? A hard ass, really. To not try to micromanage everything. And I think that whatever you're doing is so important to you. It's so meaningful because it is that star card at the end. I feel like this is your destiny pulling you in this direction. And of course, we want it to succeed, right? So there's this energy about you, this real Emperor energy. And I think, Cancer, sometimes when you get into a leadership position, you tend to take it seriously. And I don't know if maybe this is because you don't do it very often or because this is something you're kind of naturally good at. But you tend to want to really immerse yourself in that kind of energy, okay? I'm trying to pick my words carefully. And so sometimes we start micromanaging. Sometimes we start really nitpicking the minute details here instead of focusing on the bigger picture, focusing on what are these steps we need to take. We get caught up in the minutia. We get caught up in the little details of something, trying to micromanage every little tiny thing. And that, folks, is the Eight of Swords. That is we're not gonna make any progress. We're not getting anywhere with that, okay? So I'm not saying that's what you're doing, but that's what we definitely don't want to do. We want to avoid that, okay? Because we don't want to get here. This is progress that has halted. Okay, we're trying to do 4, 3, 2, boom, ace, right? Lift off. We've got the success. We reach our destination. We reach our goal. Okay, but not if we get wrapped up in the Eight of Swords. And the Eight of Swords really it's kind of a sabotage because we have this leadership energy. We have this authority. We have this kind of ambition, but it's getting kind of repressed, or it's getting silenced even by all of this minutia, by all of these little tiny details that we're trying to focus on and have control over. You need to maintain control over the bigger picture. The details, not so much. The details, it's kind of like we'll just deal with them as we go, right? But we don't want to spend too much of this Emperor energy on those little details because then it stops progress, right? And I kind of feel like I'm starting to do that in this reading. So what we need then is the temperance. We need to notice when we start being a little overbearing or we start being too strict, too disciplined, too caught up in those small details. Too much of a micromanager. We want to be a macro manager, right? Because we have the star, macro, outer, it works. We want to think of this bigger picture. And yes, those little details are important, but for right now, 4 of Swords, just got to say, it's good enough the way it is. We try to perfect things and we get caught up in trying to make everything perfect that we just end up not doing what we're supposed to be doing. And we're not making the progress, at least as quickly as we could, right? So a little bit of temperance is needed. We have to be aware of when we're going a little too much fire. We got to pull it back and think of the star cards. We have our major arcana, right? And I think they're very important. It's kind of like we have fire and water, and then we've got the balance between the two. Yes, you got to think of the bigger picture, but you also have to make sure things get done, right? So there's a balance that's needed between the two, and that's kind of what we see here with the 8 and the 4, right? We're kind of cutting it in half. We're still doing it, just not as much, right? So it's kind of in the middle here. Now, what you are doing with the 3 of Pentacles, you understand the process of creation on the physical plane. So to me, it's a card that says you know how things work. You know how business works. You know kind of the laws of causality. You know that if you put in effort in this particular way, you're going to get a certain kind of result. So you know how to get things done. But knowing how to do it and actually doing it are 2 different things. Okay. So when we see a 3 of Pentacles, we think there's a lot of potential here. This really could be that jackpot. And I think really because we got this ace over here, both of these aces, I think the pot of gold is waiting for you. Waiting for you. Which basically means it's up to us to take the necessary steps to just go get it. And this is the potential that we need to put into activation, into realization, into the material world, into action. Yeah. And curiously enough, we've got the fire and the earth combination, which really is putting our intentions into action. It's walking the talk, so to speak. Okay? So we also, when we have a 4, well, we have an 8. Let's say we have 8, and then we cut it in half. We got a 4, 3, 2, ace. To me, that's about simplifying. Getting back to the origin story, right? Getting back to the source of things. Getting back to that fire that burns in your eyes when you started this. Maybe it still does. I hope so. Getting back to that fire. Yeah. And acting from that place. Not letting in this case, not letting the mental energy, because we have more swords than cups here today. Not letting the mental activity halt our progress. Let's simplify. We're trying to figure things out too much. You know, we have a problem in front of us. Maybe it's something financial. Maybe it's kind of what's the next physical step to take in something. And we've got all of our scratch paper out on the table, and we've gotten equations here and there and everywhere. And we've got the calculators out, the slide rules, the protractors, the compass rose. We're complicating things way too much. We need to clear all that stuff off our desk and just say, fire to earth, right? And just say, here's my passion for this. Here's what I need to do next. Simple. What answer comes to you when you're not looking for the answer, right? Because that 4 of Swords it's a good step. It's a good place to start. And I think that we're doing a good job cutting the 8 in half to get a 4. Good. 4, nice. We can do better. Simplify, right? Simplify, simplify. Looking around here, we do have fire. We do have water. We've got the 2 air cards and the 2 earth cards. So really that's, 3 earth cards. So that, to me, that's what it's about. It's getting some of this mental activity reduced down to simplicity, okay? And make simple changes in your life. You know, when we're trying to control too much or we're trying to figure too many things out at once, sometimes we need to just go back to basics. You know, go back to basics. And I'm trying to think of, I used to do computer stuff, you know. I used to build computers, and I did a little bit of coding stuff like for Android phones and stuff, you know, all that kind of rooting the phones and that sort of thing. And I just remember setting those things up, doing all that coding, trying to get everything kind of figured out. And it's like layer upon layer upon layer of text, of code, of programs, of steps to take. And it seemed like it was getting very, very complex to the point where the thing wouldn't really work anymore, right? Back in the beginning, the Android phones, you couldn't do much on them at the same time because they didn't have a lot of, I don't know, memory or something, you know. So we had to use, you know, this kind of swap memory where it would, anyway, it was fun at the time. But things would get so complicated. There would be too many programs running at once that the phone would lock up. What do you got to do? You got to wipe it, factory reset, start over. Then you start from the ground up. You start building up again, layer after layer, and you realize at that point, the more you, I mean, I used to do it 1,000 times. Every single day, I would literally factory reset my phone, my Android device, at least 4 or 5 times, and then set everything back up and run all the codes and do all that kind of stuff. And I would start to realize where I'd make a little mistake. And then I'd wipe it and I'd do it again. And when I got to that step, I'd make sure I didn't make the same mistake again, and I'd keep going. Oh, there's the next mistake. And then you go back to basics so many times. You go back to 0, really. Or you go back to 1, and then you start again, right? And I think in your case, really, it's about getting all this complexity out of the picture, getting back to base, getting back to source, factory reset your mind a little bit. Not literally, but just fresh air, clear your mind out, right? Get back to this fiery passion of why we're doing this. Remember why, because sometimes we get so, and you know, we could be up for days doing this. Like I remember even doing like math homework, so bad at math. And I'd be trying to figure out these certain concepts and equations and stuff, and I'd be up into the wee hours of the night, or the morning at that point. Still couldn't figure it out, right? My brain was so overworked. I thought I had the answer, but it turns out it was complete nonsense what I was doing, right? So sometimes we have to sleep on it. Sometimes we have to just wipe it all clean, flip back to page 1 of the book, and start again. Yeah, but sometimes we need a little bit of a break in between those efforts, right, to rest. But anyway, I'm digressing a little bit. The 2 of Pentacles down here, though, is the idea. This is what we have to do. There are things that we do need to change. There are tweaks that we have to make in our plan here. We have to know where those mistakes were made so that when we do the factory reset and we start loading everything up again, we can catch that mistake and we can prevent it from happening again, right? So we really have to learn from our mistakes so that we don't keep repeating them. And I think the 2 of Pentacles here is you knowing where the mistake was made, and now it's just a matter of kind of backtracking and fixing it, or you know, getting back to the ace and starting again, but not making that same mistake. Okay. Now I don't think that means you have to start over with what you're doing. Okay, but in your mental energy, in your planning, and you're trying to figure out what to do next, I think it's better to wipe the slate clean and start over again from square one in your mind. I'm not saying literally you have to start over with your work. But the mental energy, because we're trying to avoid this tangle of overcomplicating things. Okay, and I think you're really trying to figure out what that next step is. Or, you know, it might be the final step because we're so close to this Ace of Pentacles. But something needs to change in the way you're thinking about the situation. Okay, and we could be talking about business, art, creativity, relationships, family, romance. We could be talking about spiritual work. We could be talking about kind of internal, emotional work, physical work, any of these things. Okay. We need to rethink our approach, how we're doing this work. Okay. But we need to go back to basics and then perhaps kind of think it through from a very simple starting point. Okay. Now we're going to the path of the serpent. We got the Princess of Cups here. This is your dream. This is your dream work, right? If the star is our awareness of our destiny, right? You have that spiritual realization, right? The kind of metaphysical perception or apprehension of your destiny or fate. The Princess of Cups is how that is manifesting in your physical life, right? It's basically, they're two sides of the same. This is above, this is below. This is the macrocosm, this is the microcosm. Okay, these are a reflection of each other. And I think that's what you're doing now. The work that you're engaged with is a reflection of your highest spiritual destiny. It's now being reflected on earth in your physical life. And I think you know this. I think there are confirmations for you in the forms of dreams, epiphanies, realizations. Spirit's telling me there's something about a fireplace for you. I don't know what the fire energy is. And it could be the hearth of your home. It could be some relationship with fires, bonfires, campfires, fireplaces, right? Something like that is important to you. But I think Spirit is communicating with you through confirmations, validations, through signs, symbols, synchronicities. Yeah. Through the anomalies of life. This is the card that I usually call the fish in the percolator, right? What's the fish doing in the percolator? We could try to find a causal connection, as you do with your mental and earth energies over here. You could try to figure out, why? Why would that be? Well, maybe it, whatever, somehow through a series of events, it ended up in the percolator. The fish ended up in your coffee cup, right? And that's fine. We could work the problem that way. Or we could just try to feel it for what it is. Not so much how did it get there, but why did it get there? What is its message for me? What is it trying to tell me? What is God, Goddess, deity trying to communicate to me through this silly little fish in my silly little cup, right? So we're able to really find divine messages everywhere around us because the absurd is all over the place, right? It's important that we pay attention, especially with natural phenomena, like a fish, right? What does it mean? What is it doing for you in this moment? But any other kind of, especially plants or animals, right, or clouds even, birds especially, have been a prominent way of kind of divining information. So I think that this is something that's very significant for you. I don't know if you're engaged in this kind of thing yet, but you ought to be. Looking for signs and symbols and synchronicities in all of the natural phenomena, because I feel like the work you're doing is a reflection of your spiritual destiny. Especially now we've got the fire and earth combo. Well, this is pretty badass right here. Okay? Not only do we have the reflection of your spiritual destiny and your kind of earthly fate, right? But you've got this spiritual creation here with fire and earth, the aces. You are connected to Source in a way that you maybe don't even realize. Okay? And Spirit is telling me that animals you do have that kind of, that connection with nature. And we're talking about the fireplace and thing. I think that too is a fire gazing, right? Is a very, I think, significant and powerful way to receive messages from Spirit. Yeah. So maybe that's something that you do as well. Maybe you scry through the fire. But I also feel like animals are very important to you, that you have a certain connection, or really, I want to say communication with animals. Yeah. But anyway, the connection to Source is very, very significant for you. There is also some sort of talisman that you have. It's a small object. I don't know what it exactly is. It's a small figure. Maybe it's a little animal totem, but it's some kind of a figure. It's probably made out of wood or plastic even. But it's something that kind of has a lot of power for you. What is that object? Yeah. What is that object? I feel like you always kind of have it in your hand, or it's in your pocket, your purse, your wallet, your bag, your backpack. It's always kind of there. And maybe we don't even look. Maybe it's one of these lucky charms, right? Everybody has had throughout their lives, some sort of lucky charm that we would call it. I don't really believe in luck. I mean, I do. We throw that word around a lot, but I don't know if it means that there's just random good fortune comes about, you know. I think they're power objects, and I think that they attract certain energies to them. Okay, and I think you have one of those. You might call it a lucky charm, but it's a power object for you. It's a talisman. Okay. So the Princess of Cups. Yes, pay attention to your dreams. Pay attention to those uncanny things in the world around you. Pay attention to the clouds and ask yourself, what does that look like? You know, what is the flicker of the candle flame trying to say to you? You know, there are messages all around you, and I think that kind of gets us out of our head. You know, it's a way, not so much getting out of our head, but repurposing our head, you know, because we see a candle flame, we think, what is that trying to tell me? But we have to learn to not think about it, not try to figure it out mentally. But we ask the question and we just see what comes into our mind. So we're kind of occupying our mind with something else, the candle flame, and trying to discern the message so that we're not overthinking and overanalyzing. See, we're giving the mind something else to do that is I think, more productive, a lot of the time anyway. The Ace of Wands is in the position of your environment. When it comes to things that we have to choose, right? The Ace here in the environment is very much connected with the Two of Pentacles in the underneath, right? What is kind of within you. And there's this need to change our approach to things. And the way we do that is by returning to that original passion. What was the very beginning of this work for you? This is kind of the why. Why are you doing this, right? What is that spiritual fire that burns in you? And when we know what that is, when we know what our will is, then we know what changes we have to make. Then it's very easy to say, do you go left or do you go right? Okay. And we can reduce the two down to an ace, which means that life is no longer a series of choices, that there are no choices anymore. Because there is only the will. There's only your destiny, your purpose, your plan, your fire, right? And so it doesn't really leave us a choice, right? I have no choice but to obey my will, but to follow this passion, to follow this fate and this divine energy that I'm feeling. So there really is no choice. There's only one path, right? And I think that's what you are doing to connect the star with that Princess of Cups. And so every step for you is it's not a series of choices. There's one step. There's one path. Okay? And I think that really takes dedication and discipline and authority. And it takes the right usage of our mental apparatus to find this pot of gold. And I think that's why this is the difficulty. Because this is the culmination of that work. This is not the beginning of something, right? I feel like this is the summit of something. I feel like we've had, because we had the 8, we have the 4, 3, 2, ace, probably another ace, right? Because I feel like it's us getting higher and higher up the mountain. We think of base of a mountain, base 10, right? It's wider at the base. So the further up we get, it gets narrower and narrower until we get to the very top, where there is only one way to get to the summit, right? Down here at the bottom of the mountain, there's a lot of choices, a lot of different places. You can start anywhere you want on the mountain. But when you get up to the very, very top, your choices get less and less and less. There are less options. There are less opportunities for deviation. There's less room for mistakes, right? The higher up you get, it gets thinner and thinner and thinner. The path gets more and more narrow because we're so close. Yeah, because we are so close to this goal. And I love the star energy, especially at the end of the reading like this. It really is the icing on the cake. Spirit is illuminating a lot of what's going on within you. Spirit is trying to show you the way your own mind is working in order for you to be the conduit for the spiritual light. As the light comes in, it illuminates what's within us. Usually it meets some obstacles, it meets some kind of roadblocks, some tangles, some knots inside of us, so that the light doesn't really shine forward very much. See, it's coming from the top, but it's also going down out the bottom, right? So that pure light comes in, and it gets filtered and rearranged. It gets stopped up inside of us, either in our mind or our heart. In your case, I think it's more of a mental energy. And if we can clear all that mental stuff out of the way, that light will shine forth from us with no obstacle. There's nothing getting in the way. There's nothing plugging it up, right? And this is when your destiny feels like it is absolutely manifested in your life all around you. Yeah. And I think you're so close to this kind of thing. You're so close to the actual success of what you're doing. And I think the last phase of this is to declutter the mind a little bit, to simplify our thinking, and realize that up here, when we get close to the aces, when we get to this elevation, it's not complex. It's simple tasks. And that they use the analogy of Mount Everest. The higher up you get, the less oxygen there is. Your mind is not capable of complex tasks at this point. It's simple things. 1 foot goes that way. I have to inhale, right? I got to eat something, right? Very simple impulses, very simple decisions, very simple mental operations, right? And that's kind of what we're doing. The higher we get, the closer we get to our goal, the more simply we need to look at things. Very, very basic stuff right now. Just put the next foot forward, right? It's probably even like, there's the urge to want to micromanage and have very complex operations, but really it's just like left foot, right foot, left foot, right foot. Okay? You're so close. I want to look at the mystery card. I'm getting another ace. I kind of feel like it's a wheel energy, a circular energy. It could be a 4 of Wands. 4 of Wands would be nice. But 4 of Wands, I think, shows us maybe stopping for the night, right? Setting up a camp and taking a break from things, which is maybe what we need in order to simplify. Maybe we need to sleep on it, right? So I'm kind of thinking of 4 of Wands, but I have this circular energy in my mind. It's either a Wheel of Fortune, an Ace of Pentacles, maybe the 4 of Wands. But the 4 of Wands is different in the Thoth deck than it is in Rider-Waite-Smith. But if you have a prediction, I want you to put it in the comments. All right, let's do it together. Here we go. And it is an Ace of Cups. This is a confirmation that we are so close to our goal. This is the pot of gold that's waiting for you. And it's kind of like Spirit has it, just being offered to you. And it's just, come and take it. You're right here. All you have to do is reach your hand out and make contact, and grasp it. And that's a very simple operation. It's kind of like, you're at this elevation, and it's something very simple, like just reaching out and grasping an object. Very simple task, right? And it's the biggest moment of this whole thing. This is the culmination. This is the moment where you reach out and you grasp what Spirit has, I was going to say offered you, but it's not really a gift. You've earned it. Spirit's just there kind of presenting it to you, as an achievement, as an accomplishment, as a kind of job well done. And I think you're so close to your goals right now. It truly is amazing. We're going to do an extended reading too. If you want to stick around, there's a link in the corner. There's one down below. New readings for Cancer, Tuesday, Friday. All right, 6 a.m. Chicago time. I'm going to stop doing the premieres or the lives for a little while, just to see if that kind of helps everybody to get to the readings in a better way. I know sometimes it's hard for everybody to get there at 6 a.m. Chicago time, and so you end up missing half the reading or something. So I'm not going to do the premieres that way. Whenever you see it, you watch it, and you're good to go. Okay? If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. It is totally free. Helps out the channel. I appreciate it. Leave a comment and let me know where in the world you're watching from. Yeah, let me know how you're doing. I want you to know that you're the most important part of Dove and Serpent Tarot. I thank you and I love you. And we're all in this together.